Welcome to episode 28 of the Seagrove Sessions. And this time round we have the Seagrove Centre's very own Leithers, Daisy and Doris, having a good blether about Leith. From Fire Brigade Street to over chatty grocers, to booking the washhouse, to the mutality clubs, to the rarity of fruit during World War II. A wealth of memories from two great storytellers. Enjoy.
Oh, we come along a Saturday morning.
Do you know that one?
I never went to the Cappy on a
The Cappy
Saturday
concert
morning.
on a Saturday morning.
I don't know why.
I think the reason we went to the Cappy Concert Club, my mother had 4 of us, and I think she was just glad to get us at the house. There was my sister and I, but then there was 6 years between us and my brothers. So if she got me and I away to the pictures on a Saturday morning, that let her concentrate on the 2 young ones. You know, so, and it gave her sort of like that wee bit leeway, because I think it was quite a lot, because my dad worked shifts. You know, he was a train driver, and he worked shifts on the railway.
My dad went away to the army the week before war was declared, and my mother was left with 5 of us. And I can remember there was a chip shop in Great Junction Street. It was Costa's. It was Italian, and see, when Italy joined the war, everybody went and smashed their windows. They went and smashed Costa's windows.
Because they were Italian.
And there used to be a wee place in Kirk Street where the post office had 2 vans, and they used to collect a lot of mail there to save them going away up the town and coming back or something. And then it was a Laurie Picture House.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That was in Laurie Street. And they used to say, if you've got a halfpenny in a jam jar, you can get in.
Aye, because you used to get money back on the bottles and the jam jars and that. Aye.
But remember, there was a wee picture house, because you came down the Kirgit,
that's right.
and there was a place with eggs, and right opposite was Laurie Street. And my dad was a butcher before the war, and his uncle had a shop in the Kirgit, Simpson's, and my dad worked there.
Was it a butcher shop?
It was a butcher. My dad was a butcher to trade.
Oh, aye.
Then they went away to the army. The day war was declared practically, went away and left us. And everybody used to come and help my mother when we had to go to the shelters.
5 of you, yeah.
We had to go to the shelters when the bombs come.
Which cinema did you go to did you go to any others apart from the Cappy?
Well, was there anything at the Palace? I can't mind.
No,
There was the Palace Picture House, and then round was the Capitol Picture House. But I think the Cappy concert in the morning on a Saturday was the best. I'm not sure if they had others.
You would have gone to the one on Great Junction Street, would you not?
The State.
The State?
The State.
Picture House,
I remember when the State opened, everybody thought it was wonderful with all these fancy
lights and
curtains.
I remember the first year that I was ever going to go abroad, which was unusual for young people to go abroad. And the 4 of us were saving up all year, and we got different wee jobs. And I got a job in the State Picture House. So I done my usherette in the State Picture House to get the extra money to help me to travel all the way to Spain.
Brilliant.
So that's where I made my money.
Did you just work at the weekends then?
No, I think I worked after school, I honestly can't remember.
Was there a YMCA in?
There was the YMCA was along at the end
Right,
of this Fire Brigade Street. Everybody called it Fire Brigade Street, but it was really Junction Place. But there was 2 fire engines there.
Used to go, the fire engines would come out in the main street, but they'd go in the back bit the area.
Right.
They had a bit for going in and a bit for coming out.
You could go down Bonington Road, and the first opening down, you could go up there, and it was a washhouse. My folk used to go and get their washes done.
I got sent along for, you had to book the tubs.
You had to book the tubs.
And I used to get sent, that's how I got my pocket
They had
money.
these things they pulled out, and you put your
The
clothes on
dryers.
it to dry, and then they
Dryers.
just pushed it back in again.
Aye, that's right.
And women used to take the washing along in a pram, didn't they?
Aye, they used to
And
put
that's
the,
how they took the.
or a go-kart.
They had big baskets,
Aye,
and they put the wash and
Or a
filled it
basin.
up in the basket.
what you used to bath the kids in. That bath used to...
Oh, I know.
my
Then
mother used
put
to
the
put all washing
basket in the
that.
pram and wheel it
Yeah.
to the washers to get their washing done.
And would you always have the same day to do your washing?
You had to book a time.
You had to book it. And that was one of my jobs on a Monday morning. I used to go along early on a Monday morning and get the tickets for like my mother and my Auntie Margaret and the couple of neighbours up the street and across the road to my granny. And my granny would say, now Mrs. Wishall wants you to get a ticket for her. So that's how many are you going to get? 5. No, Mrs. Wishall, 6. So I'd get sent along to the washhouse, God knows what time on a Monday morning for to book the tubs. But mind you, it was worth it because I used to get like 6pence for this one and 6pence for that one and 3pence for this one and a shilling. I even got one time. So
The store had houses in Junction, in
Great Junction Street.
at the top of Bangor Road, and you cross the road.
Aye, over to Great Junction Street.
Aye, and then Maisie Gibson, she lived in Primrose Street.
Well, that's where I used to stay in Old Primrose Street.
She lived at the beginning of Primrose
Aye,
Street.
we were down at the bottom end at the right hand side.
Aye.
Before you came down to the Bray, and then you could go along to the terraces.
Oh, aye.
Because when you went down Primrose Street, we were down on number 50 and 52 was the last stair. And then there was like a big high fence, but it was like a bit ground. Somebody had like a big allotment there.
Oh.
And then there was a start of along the rows for the Finz's Place and Dale Place and Elm Row. You know, the openings that you
Maisie
go to
lived at the beginning. She lived about 4, 6 or 8
Livingston Place was
Primrose
the beginning
Street.
one. Oh, aye.
Right.
My granny stayed at the top end. She was in, say she was number 5, I can't remember. And we were down on the bottom right-hand side at number 50. But my granny had it and lived at the top end of Primrose Street. And her stair, when you went in the street, there was like a railing, and you went upstairs, but you were looking down, there was an area.
Aye, people lived in
And there was
that
people
area.
lived down below in the area.
In the area?
Area.
Oh,
There
right.
was when you came along the street, there was railings.
Yeah.
I mean, you looked down, there was,
And-
like the building continued down.
And
And,
there
then
was-
there was a
There was
thing, and
houses.
you went down the stairs and to the people that lived
So
down there.
that was quite a way down, wasn't it?
Aye, they were quite low, eh?
Aye, I remember the houses down there
Aye, so did I.
because I knew somebody that had one.
I know somebody called Mrs. Somerville.
Mrs.
Somerville.
I've seen a photograph and it actually says, it's in Primrose Street and it says Primrose Shoe Works.
What was it?
Primrose Steelworks.
No,
Shoe
Works.
Primrose Street. At the very bottom of Primrose Street.
There was something there, but I can't
What was
remember
it
what it
now?
was.
Aye.
I remember Linda Cross. She lived at the other end. You come down Wrestlerig Road and you turn. There was a grocer's on
Come
the
down Lockend
corner,
Road.
and then there was a place, and you could go up that wee street and go along the back. A lot of people had houses along there. When you came down Wrestlerig Road and you turned, there was a grocer's on the corner. Mine, the bloke that had it, he was related to Ina Ewan, and he was a right blether. He never stopped talking.
Was that on the left-hand side?
I kind of
No,
think
wait,
it
no.
was.
The bottom of Wrestlerig Road on the left-hand side. There was a grocer shop.
Aye, and round the corner for that. But the bloke that
But you
worked,
could go round the corner and go to the wee rows.
that's
Am I
right.
right? Am I the right bit?
But the
Aye.
bloke that worked in the grocer's shop was Ina Ewan's half cousin, and he was a right blether. And never, even when he was golfing, he still bowling, he still never stopped talking.
Was it Tommy something?
I think it was.
Because there were lots of little shops, weren't there?
Oh, aye.
Oh,
There was
aye.
2 shops, and as you come down Primrose Street, if you look in road, if you were coming down, there was the tenements, and a wee bit dipped in, and there was 2 wee shops there. There was Lizzie's and Alice's. They were just like wee Johnny Orthing grocers.
To be true, at the corner of come down, and the first opening, you could cut through to go to the bowling green, but there used to be a grocer's there.
To go to the bowling green.
Was it Blackie Road?
Are you going along Blackie Road? Aye. So the wee shops were round on the corner from where I stay.
That's right.
When I first moved there, I would just like come at my door, turn left at the opening. It would take me along if I was going to go along to cut down and run to the bowling. And that opening, can't even think what it's called. There was 2 wee shops across there.
And there was a wee dairy shop.
2 wee shops together.
2 wee shops. One of them was a wee dairy.
Aye. And I thought, well, this is great.
And there used to be somebody come on a Sunday morning with a cart.
Aye.
And he used to sell buttermilk. And
Aye,
people
that's
could
right,
buy
aye,
it for making scones.
I had a big sort of...
And I remember
metal
his
drum
sister
thing.
lived in the stairs before me in Bowling Green, and she was playing with matches, and she set her nightdress up very badly burned.
No. There was quite a few accidents in the past, wasn't there, with children? And
People used candles a lot, you know.
Aye, for heating and...
I can mind when we got a tiled fireplace in the living room.
well, that's something.
We used
That
to
was
have
posh.
a big black grate,
Aye, the
and
grate,
it was
the
terrible
range.
trying to clean it.
Aye. But mind you, it had the wee oven.
And that's right.
Could always have something warm in the wee oven.
Well, that's true.
I remember my granny in
Heat off the
Aberdeen. My granny in Aberdeen, my granda was a baker, and she always had a pot of porridge on the thing you pulled out.
Aye.
She always had a pot of porridge in there
Aye,
for when
aye.
he came in for his work.
Yeah. It was amazing, eh?
Yeah.
What they used to be able to do. Make, do and mend.
But I remember when you crossed at the top of the Kirgate, there was a chemist. Remember, there was a big chemist, and there was a back door to Woolworths. You could go in
yeah,
Woolworths,
this end.
that door, and turn and walk down the Kirgate a wee
And
bit and
come
go
out.
in the other
That's
door.
right, aye, aye.
And mind, they used to have
Aye, that's
pick and
right.
mix. I had
when
a
that first
niece.
started, your nose used to go along the counter with the pick and mix. Thought it was great. Oh, this is wonderful.
I had a niece that worked at that counter, and then when you crossed the road at the bottom and turned into Great Junction Street, it was Rankin's, the fruit shop.
Aye, that was a good fruit shop.
You were saying about Canadian apples.
Aye, aye. I think so, aye. I just remember, like the neighbour would say, Mary, to my mother, Bob's got Canadian apples, and, all right. And my mother,
Called them Macintosh Reds.
they probably were.
Macintosh Reds.
But, however, Canadian apples, that's what they were. All right, because even then you couldn't just go in and buy apples.
No.
You just never done.
Did either of you go to the Gaiety Theatre?
The Gaiety?
Yeah.
Aye,
I went as well.
Aye, doing the Gaiety.
Do you
Doing
remember?
the Kirgate.
Aye.
And opposite that was a wee opening called Brickwork Close.
Aye.
And that's where my chum's auntie used to stay. And if we went to the dancing, we used to go down and stay with our auntie at Brickwork Close.
I know, because
Opposite the gateway. The Gaiety.
Yeah.
It was the Gaiety, it wasn't the gateway. It
you
was the
could
Gaiety.
go up Brickwork Close and walk along the back. We couldn't you?
Aye, and come out at, was it Junction Street? Well,
Junction
along that
Street,
end. Ken, you could cut round and come out the back of the, like where the store and all that used to be along there, the big store. Aye. At an Easter time, my mother used to say, we're going along to the big store. And me and I, my sister, oh good, we must be getting new shoes. The store book
I know. But the store book. But
came out at an Easter time and we
everybody
got
had
new shoes.
everybody had mutuality clubs, didn't they?
Oh, aye, my mother was nearly, my dad was an awful man for, if a thing's worth getting, it's worth saving for. My mother said, it's not always that easy, Charlie, Ken. But my dad was quite strict, really. And but however, it was different with the store. My dad was a right store man. Okay. It was okay for mother to have a store book. And we could go along to the store and get new shoes for going back to school at Easter time.
Mine there was Peter Allen's.
Peter Allen's and Jane R. Allen's of the Bridges.
I remember Stoddart's the undertaker. He lived in the middle of there. You come up Bonington Road and went along, and Alex Stoddart, he was the undertaker there.
Alex Stoddart.
And he used to walk, he was a big tall man, and he walked straight and he had a black big
Tall
hat on.
Aye.
And you know,
Right proper undertaker.
I was going to say, you scare the life out of me.
Aye.
it was
Right proper
quite
undertaker.
Alex Dodgers. They used to call him, he was a big streaky misery or something.
Aye.
But if you crossed the road at the top, you could go into Electra House,
Where are you
Aye.
now? At the top of...
Bonington Road, and cross the
Oh
road.
yeah, aye. Intellectual House, that was the store.
I
I belonged
worked
to
in
the
the
store.
desk in there.
Intellectual House.
I worked in there. Oh, the
That was where
van.
they sold the electrical stuff.
Oh, hence the name.
Everybody used to come in. All the men, all the vanmen, they all had mutuality clubs.
All right.
So you had to work out their wages and take the money off for their clubs.
Oh aye.
And then you had to square it all off, or Mr. Peggy would be after you.
What you could do in the olden days, eh?
I know.
There was a lot of trust and help in that in these days, eh? People helped each other and you could trust each other. But
See, when there was an air raid, everybody used to come and help my mother because how the hell would we all go down the stair,
aye.
you know?
Aye.
Well, do you remember where the shelters were in Primrose Street?
In the back green.
Right.
When we were on the ground floor, so we were the class has been okay. If you were the ground floor, you didn't necessarily have to go into the shelter
All right.
because you were the ground of the building.
Yeah.
When we opened our door, we were in the stair entry. And then to the right of that, well, Auntie Margaret's door was, who wasn't your real auntie, but she was your neighbour, her door was opposite. And for her door down, there was another door. And when you opened that, you were in the back green. Now, when you opened the back green door, you went up 1 or 2 steps and onto the green. And the shelter was across there.
But there was a rag man used to come.
Round the
He used to
street.
come round.
Round the street side. with
Rags. And if you gave him rags,
Aye.
he gave you a penny or a balloon.
Aye.
Oh,
That's
dear
true.
me.
Used to take anything and off they got rags. That's all we had to wear, never mind take them at the rag man. Used to have to get your sister's hand-me-downs.
If there was a bomb fell, like in my stair, there was a chip shop on one side and a pub on the other side, and the stair was in the middle. What help would we had if the bomb had a came?
Yeah. Do you remember the pig bucket during the war?
The pig bucket.
Yeah.
Aye,
mean
everybody used to.
The bins in the street.
Ah, yeah.
Aye, but before that, they used to have a big bin and you put your tatty parents and
that's what's
everything in it,
Aye.
and it all went to feed the
Aye,
pigs
the pig's
during
bin,
the war.
Take that along to the pig's bin. They were in every street.
So you would have got the coalman coming, wouldn't you?
Oh aye.
Aye, it was
I
Christy
mean,
the
everybody
coalman.
had a coal cellar.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Christy the coalman
Christy
that
the
came to
coalman.
us, and his
And Nichols were the other coal
Nichols
folk.
was the other one.
Nichols and Christie's were the coal people.
What about milk being delivered?
The milkman.
Yeah. Would that be a milk cart?
It was called the milk float.
Right.
And the milk float used to come round. Early on it was a horse that used to bring the milk float round. But then latterly it become like a wee car. And that used to have the milk, the
That,
crates of milk in it.
that was a bloke, Edwards, he had a cart.
Aye.
And that's, I was saying his sister was playing with candles and got burnt. She went out to steer.
Yeah. Neither of you were very far away from the docks. Did you see a lot of sailors coming in? Was Leith quite busy with sailors?
Aye. Where my granny lived, this is my dad's mother. When she, I don't know why she came up from England, but she was English. My dad was English. And she bought a big house down in Bridge Street, Old Bridge Street.
Yeah.
I know.
And she bought it to have it like her own wee kitchen come living room thing and a bedroom. Now the bedroom wasn't much bigger than my box room, but that was my granny's bedroom. And then there was this lovely big square hall, and there was a lovely big front room there. There was another room there and another nice big room there. But she rented them out so she could make money because she didn't have a husband then, he was dead.
So would she have had sailors coming in staying there?
She had different people.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
A girl in my
young
class,
when
a girl in my class, Doreen Moss, she lived up that stair
we were in Bridge Street.
in Bridge Street because when you came out the stair, Doris, and you turned the corner, there was a big co-op there, eh? There was a big co-op, a big grocer's.
The co-op.
And then you crossed the bridge and you were at Cableswine's house.
Or see the bridge, and the first stair on the left, when you came over the bridge, there was a water of Leith, like, you know. And there was like a stone bit, and it had chains.
That's right.
And then the building started. Well, that was my granny, the first stair. And she had the windows, the front and all the way around the side to the back. And we could like look at the back and see up towards Tobith Wine. We could look at the side, and then we could look out in the front street. You know, any of her rooms. It was quite a big house because it went right round the corner.
Yeah.
That's right, because
Somebody told me there was a cabbage and ribs shop in Bridge Street at one point.
A what?
Cabbage and ribs.
Cabbage and ribs?
Yeah.
Well, ribs and cabbage were popular when I was young. They probably would be. Where you could buy cabbage and ribs. Can't you think just
Because you
there?
never really ate out much, did you, when you were young?
Oh no, well, it was after the war. And there wasn't much to do. You know, like when the war finished, people were just beginning to open shops up and
that's right.
things like that, you know, and money wasn't easy to get.
And you, when you were young women, you wouldn't have gone into pubs on your own, would you?
Oh no.
No, but the pub at the bottom of my stair, well, it was a chip shop on one side and it was a stair, and then it was a pub. But when you went into the stair at the side, you could open the door, and there was a wee
snug
bar.
What were the shops along Great Junction Street?
Well, there was Allen's, Rankin's.
Rankin's fruit shop. The sweet shop along on the left-hand side, coming to this end.
And they used to make sweeties, They had a shop, you came up Bonington Road, you turned the corner, and there was a post office there, and then there was a wee bit, and these women used to make sweeties.
The sweet shop.
And then it was
a homemade sweet shop. Yeah.
And at the top of Bowling Green, there used to be Nesbits, and they sold chalk, and these things for whitening your past.
That's right.
And you used to could get all them in Nesbits. But when you went into Nesbit, it was two awfully nice women that were in it, and they would give you your chalk and everything. You could get a bit chalk for making beds on the pavements.
Oh, of course, yeah.
For marking out your peavery beds.
Yeah.
Peavery bed. To the swimming bath, say.
Oh, aye.
Man, you had to go.
Oh, aye.
And Miss Chapman,
The school.
she says, just wait, I'll put the pole under your arm, you'll be all right. And you just moved away and you took the pole away.
So you were to try and, if you couldn't swim, you'd grab it.
She took the pole away and you had to swim.
That was terrifying.
And actually, Ned Barney, who swum the channel.
That's right, Ned Barney, aye.
He was a teacher in school. He used to swim at Portobello every morning.
That's right.
Before he came to the school.
I mind my mother got me an elastic, a bathing costume. Oh, it was beautiful. It was like shirring elastic.
Oh, aye.
And see, when it got wet,
I fell down.
the gusset used to be practically down to my knees with the weight of the water.
But we used to go to a place, the Tally Tour.
Oh, we used to get a row for going there.
Got the Tally Tour.
The Tally Tour. Can you imagine why it was called that?
I know, because it was a Martello Tower, what I was told.
It was a what?
It was a Martello Tower, because it was in the docks, wasn't it? Beside
But there was another place along.
The Tally Tour, and it was
you
called...
went along Lindsay Road, and then you came to a bridge, and then
Don't swim
you
in
crossed
the
over that bridge, and when you crossed over it, you were at the bottom of Hawthorne Vale,
I know where you are.
and right opposite Hawthorne Vale, and that there was this place, they called it the Tally Tour.
Yeah.
Everybody went there to try and swim.
But you go swimming.
The sewerage used to come out a bit.
Oh,
You'd be
jeez.
swimming.
Oh.
The Tally Tour.
The Tally Tour.
I don't know how it got the name Tally Tour. I think it was a Tally Tour.
I think it was called after that tour. And my daughter Anne, her friend lived in Burgess Street, which was,
In Burgess Street.
you come along, it was Angelo Sancho's ice cream shop.
Oh, aye.
Then you came along and it was Portland Street. And my brother-in-law lived up at Portland Street.
Aye.
And then you crossed the road there. And then if you crossed the road that way, you came to the bottom of
Seafield, no.
There was sand there and people could go in there and paddle. They called it the Tally Tour.
The Tally Tour. Now stay away for that Tully Beach.
We used to go to Portobello with a bottle of water and a piece of jam and walk to Portobello.
It didn't mean that much to us because I didn't realise what it meant. It wasn't until years later we realised that's where the sewage pipe came out.
You could go to the bottom, get off the bus and go to the bottom of King's Road. Right at the bottom on the corner there was a toilet. But if you crossed the road it was a park. There was a park down there called the Daisy Park.
Daisy Park.
That'd be all right for you.
And my sister-in-law, who died quite young, her friend lived opposite in that Daisy Park. Her husband was a plumber, Pat Quinn.
That was my brother-in-law's name.
Then you could walk along and you were in Musselburgh.
That was episode 28 of the Seagrove Sessions, Daisy and Doris in conversation. For more episodes of the Seagrove Sessions and our other podcast channel, How We Live with Dementia, go to www.nedc.org.uk and follow us on Facebook, NEDC, the Seagrove Centre. And thanks for listening.